What the heck? It's trying to... It's kicking me off and taking me to a Stefan Molyneux video every time, every single time. Are you guys, am I live? It says I'm live, but over here it says that we're disconnected. Drop frames. Am I live? Look, can you see on the screen? I took a screenshot, now it's gone. It disconnected me. See this in the far frame? I don't even know why it's in the far frame, but Stefan Molyneux. It disconnected my stream and connected me to a Stefan Molyneux video released today. Did it switch over from my video to Stefan Molyneux's video? For you guys? That's... I don't understand. I don't even understand how that could be. I think for that to happen, we would have to have the exact same stream key. YouTube just glitching. Did anybody get Stefan Molyneux's video? It had a crazy amount of views too. It was just uploaded today. It's not like Stefan Molyneux to have that many views either. It was 200 and something thousand views. Something about Jeffrey Epstein's butler. Did you guys get that video? Crazy. All right, so let's see what the 5 has to say.
Radical members of the Squad slamming Israel just moments ago. This comes as top Democrats reportedly threatened to retaliate after Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar were banned from entering the country. The White House firing back against House Democrats' plans to punish the U.S. and Israeli ambassadors with legislative action. Tlaib and Omar were denied access to Israel over their support of a boycott movement.
Okay, so they're denied access because they support a boycott of Israel. And then, now, I want to be absolutely clear. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC, and I think the other one of the 4 is Eliana Presley. And I've done videos on almost every one of these. I've done a video on every one of them. My last one that I did was on Eliana Presley on my main channel. You guys have to understand, these people are anti-American. They hate Americans. I don't even know why people like this. Yeah, I do, because they want power. They hunger and thirst for power. But they put their hand on the Bible and they swear to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And then they turn right around and become the enemies of the very country that they swore allegiance to. So my position on Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Eliana Presley and AOC is that they, just like every member of Congress, every $174,000 a year member of Congress is your enemy. Any member of Congress that gets up there and creates any law transfers power from you to them and to their corporation. That's the Title 28, Section 3002, 15A. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but let's do it. Let's talk about it. Gosh, I lost like half of the people who were watching. It was up to like 223 people. It's just... Most people haven't looked at this up. 28 Section 3002. Definitions. This is U.S. Code 15A. United States means... Can you guys see that? 15A. This is Title 28, Section 3002, 15A. I always talk about it. The United States means a federal corporation. That means when you get these people... I'm on my girlfriend's computer, so I don't have... Let's see, like... We need to set your tabs, babe. Okay. Go ahead. When you get these people in Congress, these are Title 28, Section 3002, 15A, United States federal corporate employees. They are looking out for corporate interests. They are taking a corporate paycheck and they get corporate pensions. They don't care about you. I don't even know how much more clear to make that. These people do not care about you. All they care about is pleasing their corporate masters. It doesn't matter how good they look. It doesn't matter how sound they look like they stand on the Constitution. If they are creating laws, they are transferring power and money. It's about power and wealth, guys. Key bono. Who benefits? I'll tell you who doesn't benefit. You don't benefit. I don't benefit. Every law they create transfers power from them to you. It takes away a right from you and gives it to them. See, there's two sides to every trade. Like if you play the stock market and you lose your ass in the stock market, well, somebody gained off your losing ass. If you win in the stock market, then somebody else lost off your winning ass. That's how it works. There's two sides to every trade. There's two sides to every coin. So when you have Congress up there, Title 28, Section 3002, employees making $174,000, they're not earning it, they're stealing it. They're extorting it from you. How would you like to have a job where your money, your paycheck came from the extortion of other human beings? How could you even go to bed at night? How can you do that? That's why I'm constantly saying government is immoral. And so what I can't stand about the five, and guys, I wasn't planning on talking about, all this stuff and going into this detail, but this is just kind of stuff that goes through my mind. And I think it's important to consider, since we live in a country where our leaders are constantly trying to take our rights away. They're constantly trying to take more money for ourselves. They're constantly trying to implement more programs off of the product of your time and laboring energies. When you earn, it costs your time and it costs your laboring energies, time away from your family and the sweat of your brow. They're extracting that from you so that they can give these guys like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Warren and name anybody on the right and anybody on the left. I'm not trying to pick out anyway because any one particular person from any one particular party, because it's all bad. It's all a dog and pony show. It's all a smoke screen. It's all a show under the big top. And these are a bunch of circus clowns and they're laughing all the way to the bank while we struggle. So anyway, Rashida Tlaib. So they're going to set these people up as the straw man, because it's easy to knock down a straw man. I mean, yeah, Rashida Tlaib, you can't believe anything she says. You can't believe anything Ilhan Omar says. So what happens is truth comes up every now and then out of the mouths of these charlatans, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, for example. And that's what you're going to see in this little, we're not going to watch all this, but we'll watch some of what they say. Supposedly, and I haven't seen it, Rashida Tlaib starting to cry and get all emotional and try to sway you with emotions, which is another bogus tactic that they use to try to get you on their side. Oh, look, Rashida cares about America. No, she doesn't. None of them care about America. They're corporate employees. They don't care about you. Like George Carlin said, it's a big club, and guess what? Sorry, you ain't in it. You're not in it. You don't get to reap the benefits of the big club. They do. You don't. So here goes the gatekeepers for Israel. Faux news.
Israel later granted Tlaib access on humanitarian grounds, but she turned it down. Omar also taking a swipe at President Trump.
We know Donald Trump would love nothing more than to use this issue to pit Muslims and Jewish Americans against each other.
Yeah, that's, you know what though? That's true, but it's not just Donald Trump. I mean, Ilhan Omar, as she's saying, Donald Trump would like to pit Israel, Muslims and Jews against each other. She does that too. This is not something that's unique to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's he's part of the corporate machine, just like these people are.
The Muslim community and the Jewish community are being othered and made into the boogeyman by this administration.
Tlaib and Omar also under fire for sharing a...
Yeah, like Ilhan Omar and her ilk don't set up boogeymen to try to scare you into signing on to the Green New Deal and Medicare for all. She doesn't have any boogeymen.
Controversial cartoon on social media by an anti-Semitic artist. This is President Trump blasting the pair as radical Dems, saying they have such a disdain for Israel. All right, Dana, the Democratic Party again on its heels over anti-Semitism, and again, looks like the face of the party as the squad.
See, they have to bring up the anti-Semitism because it makes you look bad if you're racist. And criticizing Israel does not necessarily equal anti-Semitism. Basically, what you're saying is, if you rightly criticize Israel or anybody, I'm just picking Israel because that's what they're doing right now. If you rightly criticize anybody and you have logical, fact-based arguments, you're anti-Semitic. It's crazy. It's what you're doing is taking truth and just submerging it underwater. You're suppressing truth.
Is this what Nancy Pelosi wants?
I probably shouldn't have been surprised that they had a press conference today, but I'm slightly surprised because I think that they could have turned the page, get it behind them, move on, and do something else. But by having the press conference today and trying to showcase that they just ensured the White House is probably going to respond again.
Yep.
Every Democratic candidate on the campaign trail is going to have to answer it, and the president's going to say something, and then we'll talk. Well, we could go another week talking about this, and my gut instinct is that they are not winning this argument. They might think they are winning the argument. It doesn't feel like
What
it.
does it say, Greg?
And it's always about winning the argument. Are the Democrats winning? Are the Republicans winning? It's all about that. That's why I hate the left versus right paradigm. That's why if you're a statist, and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican statist, on the conservative side, or if you're a Democratic statist on the leftist side, there's always going to be an inconsistency that goes in your mind, because when the Democrats, the left, lobs some kind of complaint or accusation against the right, and the right lobs it back, they're both guilty of almost the exact same thing that the other person is doing, like being in the cult of personality, engaging in cognitive dissonance, supporting the Federal Reserve, supporting the IRS domestic terror cell, beefing up the coffers of the military-industrial complex, and just on it goes. Socialist programs, dipping into the Social Security account so that they can fund other things, building the wall. All that kind of stuff is completely antithetical to individual liberties. So whether you're on the right or you're on the left, one might look better than the other. You might get a decent conversation out of somebody who's conservative than somebody who's just crying and just going all emotional on the left, and they have no quote unquote argument. Well, if you look at it when the dust settles, and that's why I can't understand some people on YouTube in the alternative media space are so close, and they can put their finger on. They're so articulate and they're so smart, but they just don't get it. When it comes to the left versus right paradigm, it's such a powerful tool in the arsenal of the elites to keep us distracted, deceived, and divided. We got to understand this. We got to understand it.
I do think that they're winning the argument.
Well, I think they've learned in this Trump era that conflict creates the news. So
in the Trump era, conflict always creates news. Anytime you have conflict, you're going to have people who want to view that conflict. It's kind of like I was talking with Trish over breakfast today. We were talking about that. I think it was Don Henley that had that song called "Dirty Laundry." People tune in. People want to tune into the bad stuff. They won't tune into the good stuff. Somehow we're wired to just gravitate toward and consume bad news. And let's face it, bad news, tragedies, wars, things like that really get, they bring the viewer count up. But if you have something good that happened, maybe it'll go viral for a moment, but it's not going to be something they're going to put in their 24/7 news cycle because they know it doesn't make them money. Good news doesn't make them money. Conflict and, the left versus right paradigm. It's kind of like if you went to a WWE World Wrestling Entertainment show event and everybody was getting along with each other, why would you be there? You want to see heads rolling. You want to see people coming off the top rope. You want to see pile drivers. You want to see conflict. You want to see trash talking. You don't want to see Hulk Hogan going, "Andre Giant is my friend. I love you too, Hulk Hogan." Nobody wants to see wrestlers singing Kumbaya. They want to see blood on the mat. They want to see foul language. They want to see people coming over the top row and chairs flying. They want conflict. It's not because we're in a Trump era that conflict breeds, viewership.
Carried this press conference. We wouldn't have probably carried a press conference like that a couple of years ago. I don't think we would we? Some minor politicians in Minnesota becomes national news, and they love it. It's great for their brand. I think the left is in a fit though, because How many people who never knew what the BDS movement was now know about it? I mean, it sounds like a medical disorder that that's advertised on cable, but it's like now, like I watch the media when they talk about the BDS movement, they have to look down. And they go, the BDS movement stands for.
So let's make crystal clear what they're saying here with the 5. They're completely insulating, isolating, and protecting Israel, and now they're condemning the BDS because BDS is coming out of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib's mouth, so BDS has to be bad. Boycott, divestment, sanctions has to be a bad thing. It has to be an evil thing, and we have to vilify it. Go.
What does it stand for?
Something divestment.
Boycott, divestment, sanction. So it's like it's actually again in the Trump era, we're learning about stuff that we probably didn't learn about before, and I don't think it helps them because once people learn about the BDS movement, they see it's largely its origins are anti-Semitic, much like that cartoon. By the way, the cartoon wasn't very good.
No.
Let me ask you a question, and I don't claim to know everything there is to know about BDS or Palestine and the Israeli conflict, but there's a lot of stuff you can learn online. Let's say you and your family members, you had an extended family. There's like 100 of you, and you live in this neighborhood. You've owned this neighborhood for. Own in the sense of, your whole family lives there. There's like 10 houses and all of you guys just get along. Everybody's in a cul-de-sac and the whole street's basically all of your family members. And then a group comes along one day and they knock on everybody's door and say, hey, you have 10 days to leave. What are you talking about, 10 days to leave? And now armed guards come in and they go, okay, time to leave. You guys got to get out of your neighborhood. And so you're forced to leave at gunpoint. And they put you in another neighborhood that the world ends up calling a ghetto. And basically it's an open air prison. You can come and go if you want to, but you can only go so far and you can't mix with those people that threw you out. How would you feel about that? Because that's what I believe is the basis for BDS. If you just look at BDS right here, boycotts, it's boycott, divestment, and sanctions. That's what BDS stands for. Involves withdrawing support from Israel's apartheid regime, complicit Israeli sporting, cultural, and academic institutions from all Israeli and international companies engaged in violation of Palestinian human rights. The way I understand BDS, and like I said, there could be evil involved in it. But again, how would you feel if you were a Palestinian and in 1948 Israel just marched in there? And because the Balfour Declaration, I can't remember what year that was it in the 60s or something like that. But basically, Lord Rothschild's writes to Balfour, and they say, "Hey, we're gonna set up Israel. This is the Zionist regime, basically." And then Israel rolls in there into Palestine, and I think it was something like 720,000 Palestinians were just forced to leave their own home. If you want to call something racism, or if you want to call something supremacy, there is J, and you know what that J stands for. There is J supremacy in regard to ousting the Palestinians from their own homeland, and I think that's the springboard for BDS. Divestment campaigns urge banks, local councils, churches, pension funds, and universities to withdraw investments from the state of Israel and all Israeli and international companies that sustain Israeli apartheid. And if I pulled this up just in case you're not familiar with what apartheid is. It's a policy or system of segregation or discrimination on the grounds of race. And that's what you're seeing in Israel. And if you're just honest and you look at what's going on in the Gaza Strip and all that kind of stuff and the open air prisons they got going on there and the missiles they lob and how they treat the Palestinian kids and they're shooting people across the fence. Are the Palestinians retaliating? Well, yeah, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? If somebody initiated unjust force and violence on you, wouldn't you do all that you could to ensure your survival and your family's survival? Now, I'm not lopsided on this and saying, well, the Palestinians do nothing wrong. They never do anything wrong. It's never an open and shut case like that. Things are rarely that clear cut. And there's always at least two sides to every story. So, but I want to make it clear that to criticize Israel under the BDS, whatever it is not being honest. It's not opening your mind to go, well, let's consider the possibility that Israel could be in the wrong here. That's all I'm saying. Just be fair. Be principled. Take the principled position. I don't want to take the BDS position, and I don't want to take the Israeli position. Frankly, I'm ignorant of a lot of it. And there's probably, maybe some of what I said was wrong right here, but I think the basic tenor of what I said is, yeah, the Palestinians were kind of there first. Even the Israelis admit that, but they say, well, we're God's chosen people and we have to fulfill biblical prophecy. I don't care what your reason is. You ousted somebody from their own hometown and you're expecting them not to retaliate. Sanctions, campaigns pressure governments to fulfill their legal obligations to end Israeli apartheid and not aid or assist its maintenance by banning businesses with illegal Israeli settlements, ending military trade and free trade agreements, as well as suspending Israel's membership in the international forums such as the UN bodies and FIFA. So it's kind of lopsided when you got the right-leaning so-called media going against the left-leaning and criticizing somebody who's criticizing Israel, and based on that criticism, calling that person anti-Semitic is over the top, very dishonest, not true journalism, that's for sure.
But the guy was a contestant in a Holocaust denial contest. That's not a good look for the squad. But
so automatically, he's Greg here is just believing history. Yeah, we can believe exactly what history says. There's no inconsistency in the story of the H. Matter of fact, I said I was going to do a video on this. There was a guy who got his channel taken down for just reading old I can't even say pre-Adolf history before the 6 million number came around, and he was just reading articles. I think it was a day or two later. I can't remember the exact time frame, but he got his channel taken down, and all he was reading was those articles that predated the concentration camps and predated that H word that he's talking about, the Holocaust. Well, I can say it because he said it, Holocaust denial. So basically, he's taken as his premise that everything history said about that particular event was right. That's ignorant. You can't say that. You know, somebody could write something historical about something that happened last week and be inaccurate about it. How much more something that happened 60 or 70 years ago?
Can I go back to that the one point about the new rules of engagement? Before Trump, this was a one-way street. The far left factions, anti-Semitic factions, could wage war on Israel, and you just have to grin and bear it, right? You just have to take it. Now there's pushback, and when you push back, they accuse you of being the bully.
And you know what? It's not just conservatives pushing back. Bill Maher himself, pretty liberal guy, came out and said the BDS movement was garbage and took a pretty hard position against the squad. And then Rashida Tlaib came back and said,
well, if Bill Maher said it, then BDS must be garbage. Bill Maher is a what?
Maybe we should boycott Bill Maher.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say that they are winning this argument.
You think so?
I think so, and just to...
Then you got your token leftist in Juan here. It's so funny.
Just to,
what evidence is there that they're winning?
Oh, I don't think there's any question there's been a backlash. You see Republicans as well as Democrats, Jewish people as well as Muslims, all saying Israel should have let them in, and don't forget, Netanyahu said he wanted to let them in until President Trump tweeted at him and
is
asked.
Happy with this, you think?
I think very happy,
Really?
because I think continuing this conversation, to just double down on Greg's point, it makes more people aware of the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement than ever before.
This is true. This is true.
And that's a good thing.
I disagree with it, but I must say, suddenly...
It could be a good thing, but the five is so closed off and they're so hunkered down and dug in to their right paradigm that they can't open themselves to the possibility that, hey, there could be principled things that we can take away here and hold as valuable. Instead, they just throw the entire thing out.
Everybody's talking about it. But I'll say this to you as well.
Let's get with some chats here. Let's see. I think when we went down last time, it erased some of the... I'm going to have to open a different window. Super chats. DJ S Dad Limited Edition says that statist God is government. Yeah, it's true. Government. Okay, prove me wrong if you can. Government is the idea that it's okay for a certain class, a ruling class of people. Ruling class, really? A certain class of people can initiate force and violence on another class. In other words, they reserve for themselves the moral right, and the reason I say moral is because there's punishment involved. They reserve for themselves the moral right to rule others, and those others they believe have the moral obligation to obey those rulers. So you have people, there's a class of people that believes they have the moral right to govern or control others, and these others have the moral obligation to allow themselves to be. Am I live? Let's see. I got to see if I'm live again. I don't even know where I cut off. Am I live, guys? Is it back up? This sucks because every time it goes down, is it buffering? Let me refresh. Stream offline. Am I online, guys? Live. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why it does this. I got to refresh my screen because it's frozen. This is so frustrating. Every time it does that, I lose half my audience. And I don't blame you guys for going away. I mean, why would you stick around when it freezes up? All right, let me get the chat back. All right, so give me a thumbs up. Am I on? It says good, but I still hear you. It says you're offline, but let's see. This is ridiculous. Thanks. I don't even know where it cut off, guys. Basically, government means mind control. Government's all about control. So if you believe in government, you believe it's okay for certain people to control other people. And so you have to ask the question. You have to be honest with yourself. Where does that control come from? Why do certain people have control over other people and those other people don't have the control? How did they get it? Are they superhuman? Did they come from another planet? Are they gods? It's all just basically BS. It's utter BS. So let me go over some I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back into the super chats. Let me see. Let me open up another Firefox window. Sorry, guys. What is that? The second or third time it cut out? I don't blame you guys for leaving. I appreciate whoever's sticking around. I really appreciate it.